We're here with Mike Donohue, VP of Agristats, at the USA Poultry and Egg Export Council annual meeting in Austin, Texas. Mike, you gave a speech today for the council, and you talked about how companies are responding to tough economics. Can you tell us a bit about what you said?
Sure, Gary. There's a couple of different sides to that question. First one we talk about is on the live production side. People have dealt with higher and higher production costs over the last 2.5 to 3 years. It's softened somewhat, but they've had to realize that their live costs now are, especially the feed ingredient side, are approximately 50 to 60% higher than they were 3 or 4 years ago. So as a result of that, they've put more emphasis on live than they did in perhaps the first part of the last decade, and are putting more efforts on feed conversion and efficiencies, et cetera, because the live chicken is so darn important to them right now. On the processing side, people are concerned, obviously, with the environmental questions that are popping at us. We have the salmonella issue, we have water quality issues, and water treatment issues, and also efficient uses of energy. Again, things that are seen across probably all industries right now. On the sales side, the largest question that has changed in response to tough economic times is that people slow down on some of their consumption habits. They're eating less food service, less in restaurants, etc., and they've moved more to eating at home. And they probably also, in a sense, traded down a little bit less deboned breast meat, which would have been the higher priced items, and more dark meat being eaten. Small trends in that going forward, but nonetheless, these are things that have made a difference in the profitability and affecting the profitability of the business for the last 2.5 years. It will change. The economy will come back, and people will perhaps, at least in part, return to previous eating habits, but it's been a slow recovery, not unlike the U.S. economy.
Well, Mike, talk to us a little bit about the drivers of profitability in the industry at this time.
It's been a strange transition, Gary. When I start looking at data over the last 8 or 10 years, I went for the first half of the last decade and even to 2006 and 2007, and the difference from being the best in profitability, being average in profitability, was largely driven by sales prices and to a lesser extent by plant cost. With the rise in corn and soybean meal prices and the attendant rise in feed ingredient expense, live performance has become more important than it has been in at least a couple of decades. And also our ability to harvest and sell the byproducts of our business, I'm thinking about chicken feet, livers, gizzards, and the value we get for rendering, have become also more significant in the terms of driving the profitability of our business and the different companies that we work for. Pause was brought up extensively, the sale and the problems we have with China right now to some extent, and also the exports of leg quarters to Russia and dark meat in general to China. A big topic of discussion at this USAPEC meeting as the producers and the exporters try to wrestle with disruptions to the normal trade patterns that they've seen. We'll work our way through it, but certainly that's going to be a challenge for a number of companies that have depended, at least in part, on exports for the profitability of their business. And that's likely to go forward for the next 12, 15, 18 months.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Thank you, Gary.